Hello, Holistic Chamber of Commerce family. Welcome to today's Member Spotlight. I have with me here Marjorie Rhea, and she's going to talk about how to get your web presence going. Now, a little bit about Marjorie. She is a digital marketing virtual assistant for small business owners and for the newly unretired. I really love that, by the way, unretired. I'm like, that's awesome. She helps maintain or create websites and social media accounts. Welcome, Marjorie.
Thank you, Laura. Good morning.
Good morning or good afternoon, depending
Good
on where you
afternoon.
are. All right, so let's start out. Your title here is Get Your Web Presence Going. What do you mean by web presence?
Well, a digital marketing virtual assistant sort of works on all aspects of your presence on the internet, and different people focus on different things. It used to be everybody focused only on their website. Now, obviously, that has changed. It's a big social media thing. It's a social media world now. So a web presence basically is the generic term for however you present yourself online, your website and your social media and your email marketing and all the profiles you maintain on like Goodreads or Amazon reviews or however you are like creating a presence for yourself as a commenter or a reviewer, things like that. It just the whole gamut. They just needed a word to encompass all of that.
And I think too, it kind of depends on industry, like what you choose to do. Like some people are very into websites, others are very heavily into social media. I mean, it can be overwhelming to manage all of those at once. So, what is your role as a virtual assistant in this?
Very basically, I help with the production end of your digital marketing strategy. And I can do things like update your content, create images, create graphics, take things down. I do a lot of putting things up on a site, take things down from a site, put things up. That's how I used to describe what I do. I do posting of social media. I can handle ads, scheduling, creating graphics. I said that, producing your marketing emails, and even helping create the brand identity if that's part of your digital strategy, and just maintaining, shaping the voice that you want to have across your web presence. Those are
Mhm.
some of the things that the virtual assistant can do.
For anybody that's watching this, what Marjorie just said is golden because let me tell you, I myself have like tried to do Facebook ads, and that is like a freaking science in itself is running a Facebook ad. And I'm not super crafty. So, creating graphic images, and unless you're like super techie and you're using Canva, all of this stuff like posting on social media, it is super time consuming. And I think, as a business owner, your time is better spent doing like what's in your zone of genius and hiring out those things that aren't. And for so many people, this technology part is something that they could totally pass on to an expert, such as yourself.
Exactly. And I could talk about this later. That I find that my job is like a buffer. I'm a buffer between you and the glitches, between you and the information overload. That's what my role is.
Yeah, and information overload for sure. Absolutely. And then also too, it's like, what platform should I be on? Should I be on Facebook or Instagram? Do you help people sort things out like that? Because I do see there's a lot of confusion around where should I show up.
I'm not really a strategist. Usually when people come to me, they've already figured out I'm best served with Instagram and Facebook, or I'm best served on Twitter and another, I call them talkier feeds. Um, I haven't met anyone who just blankets all the social media. That is a person with more energy than I can even imagine.
Okay, well, that is good to know that when people are working with you, it's good for them to have a good idea as to where they're going to be posting, where they want to show up.
Right. The
And
strategist has already gone deep down into their analytics, and
mhm.
they've interviewed extensively with that person, that client, and they have a better idea of how to zone in on what they want.
Mhm. How did you get into doing this work?
Well, my entry just into the internet period started as a magazine editor. And part of my job, in addition to writing and editing, was I had to answer the phones for, we'd get a lot of trivia requests. The magazine I was working at was a Hollywood trade magazine, and we had been in print since 1920. And so we had a whole lot of information about the history of the film industry, and students, researchers, all kinds of people, a lot of people in Japan, they would call and ask, can you tell me who is the assistant editor on this 1964 movie with Elizabeth Taylor? And so I'd go trotting off to the file cabinets and look that up for them. And I found eventually I was getting more and more calls from this guy from the Internet Movie Database, which at the time was, I think there were 5 people. And he said they were creating a database of all the movies made in the US ever. And I kind of felt sorry for this guy because I thought he was just a little technology geek, always playing with the internet. How cute. And I felt sorry for him. But it was my job to get the information he wanted. So, I'd answer his questions. And then finally, after I talked to him over the years, I realized, oh, the internet is the future. I get it now. And so I took that knowledge and the knowledge that I was too lazy to research such a huge trend and keep up with it in computers and things like that on my own after my work hours. And it would have to be folded into my job if I were going to keep up with it. I took that knowledge plus the knowledge that I had gained in graphic design, which I had started taking classes in because we had such a small staff at the magazine that the art director needed help. So I thought, well, I could help her if I learned graphic design. So all of that combined got me a job at the first online bookstore, which was books.com. And there I learned how to, first of all, read or create a synopsis of a book really, really fast. I mean, like 15 minutes. I'd look at a book, create a paragraph, and that's the description I put on the website. But I had to learn, all the editors had to learn how to code and create our own web pages. So then I took that when that site was gobbled up by a bigger bookstore. I took that to a global financial services firm where I basically created web pages and put stuff up on the website, took stuff down from the website, up and down. And in addition to that, my job was calling for the first 2 years, all the internet, all the people on my team, the website people, we had to actually beg the departments for content to put on the website because people just weren't getting it. They just didn't think it was important. And the story I like to tell is that although eventually most of the departments got on board, and this is a global, like Forbes 100 corporation, the tax department never gave us content because they said the internet is a fad and they will not waste resources on it. So that still cracks me up. So from there, at the same time, I was learning how to use blogging platforms for my own blogs, and then I built my own websites, and then people started asking me to build websites. And in addition to that, I was going through, that firm went through like 7 iterations of its websites while I was working for them. Then I ended up on the daily firm-wide newsletter that went to all the English-speaking employees in the world. And so from there, I had to learn how to code for smartphones. So that was another addition to my skills. And then I eventually took all of that and became a freelancer. And for the longest time, I just would update people's blogs, the basically business to business blog updates within WordPress blogs. And that was a lot of my work for a long time. And then eventually I found I was working mostly with solopreneurs and, small businesses. And that's basically my clientele now.
you have a very eclectic background, and I'm sure that all of those things give you a broader maybe world view of technology and the different options out there, versus someone that just had experience in one, tiny little niche. So I think that's a bonus. It seems like you have expertise in a lot of different things, and therefore can work with a variety of entrepreneurs regardless of what industry they're in.
I find that that's true. The one thing that stands out is that after working with so many content management systems and so many platforms and so many website builders, what stands out is that you develop this sense when things go wrong. I just have a better sense. I bet it's this going wrong. You don't necessarily have to know the platform well. You just sort of know how developers think and how they think when they have a big budget and how they think with a small budget. I just recently worked with a website builder called, I won't name it, but oh my God. You could tell these people were distracted. It was very inexpensive. And you just learn how they put things together when they don't have enough resources and the shortcuts they take. Because I've been there myself, in a corporation, sometimes they'll say, we need this done. How long do you need to get it done well? And would say, 6 months. Okay, you have 3 weeks. So the shortcuts. And I think it's just figuring out what glitches are caused by. That's the unifying knowledge that I picked up.
I like what you said earlier about you just kind of know what's going on. It's like your web presence, spidey sense, intuition that just kind of kicks in, and it's like, yeah, that's I think this is it. Let's figure it out. I mean, that's golden, and that's a lot of what the Holistic Chamber of Commerce is about. Is it's using all of you to do good in the world and to provide a service, which is wonderful. So let's pivot here a little bit and talk about what are some of the benefits of hiring someone such as yourself.
Well, like I mentioned before, you're sort of a buffer. The virtual assistant is a buffer between, I think of it as noise. There's a whole lot of noise especially if you've been trying to do your digital marketing yourself, if you've been trying to learn all the social media platforms and updating your website yourself, even building it yourself, or learning about how to digital market. Is that a word?
It is now.
It is now. Yeah. And I like to say that I can kind of siphon off all that frustration at best, fear, there could be fear. And I like to think that my job is to help you regain and maintain the optimism that you once had, hopefully, in about reaching that customer, your ideal customer who needs you and appreciates your service and with whom you can, build a future together, helping each other.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the things that I can sort of take off your hands and give you a little more mental energy. You don't have to worry so much about whether this technology is going to work, whether you have to learn it every 3 months because Facebook changes the way they work every 3 months, or if you have to worry about whether you're doing this digital marketing strategy right because this other article I just read said exactly the opposite of what this article said, or you don't have to it's a little relief valve from all the negativity about social media, that it's full of bad actors, that it's bad for your mental health, that it's not fair, that the little person can't get their message out, that you have to be shady or not yourself in order to reach anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can focus your time on what you originally went into business for and find the voice and regain your faith in the idea that the way you want to communicate is the way someone else wants to be communicated with, and you can just focus more energy on that if you leave a lot of that stuff to me.
Well, absolutely. And I don't know about you. I mean, it's your business, but like for me, if I start posting things on Facebook, then it's like, oh, what are my notifications? And I get like sucked down this rabbit hole of other things when all I did was go on there to post something business oriented. But now an hour later, I'm like off doing, something else. So I think it's also too, managing your time when you have someone that can do those things and do them efficiently. In my book, it's really a no-brainer.
I agree. Yeah, it's just bizarre. An hour could go by and you suddenly
Yeah.
realize, wait, what? Why am I here? Why did I come
Mhm.
here?
And pretty soon you're watching like cute puppy reels and you're like, wait a second, what am I doing? It's like 11:30. I've got, other things on my agenda for today. But even like WordPress, I've dabbled in it before and it could be super frustrating. Like all the plugins and the things don't work. And then your website's down and you're like, I don't even understand what this error message is. And I tell you, the technology has gotten so complex these days. I'm a strong proponent of everybody having like a tech person in their back pocket, whether it's virtual assistant or whatever, to support in all of these things. I'm a huge believer in that.
Hmm.
Yeah. So how do people usually work with you? Is it like a contract that they have with you, or do they come like one off?
Yeah, I've had one-offs, like, can you make my Facebook timeline photo, please? Or can you tell me why my Instagram posts are now have a big black border around the side? Because they changed the sizes, that's why. And but a lot of them are packages, I have 5 hour a month packages and 10 hour a month packages. It, it's a combination.
Mhm. So
And
you have
some
a
people,
variety of options for everybody to fit, people's
right,
needs.
hourly in packages. Some people I see a few times a month or a few times a year,
Mhm.
or just project based.
Mhm. One of your viewers, Laureen, I hope I pronounced that correctly, feels our pain because she says, yeah, it's very confusing to try and market online. She built a website, it didn't look good on the phone, and she just wanted to like surrender. So yeah, that's another thing. It's like, so that kind of segues into accessibility and be, and I know accessibility probably has multiple meanings, but you have, your computer, you have your phones, you also have like um, speech options for people who need that. Talk a little bit about accessibility.
Yeah, so accessibility refers to how well a person with, of course, somebody knocks on my door with physical or mental challenges can navigate a website. And most people, when they think of that, they'll think of a blind person or a deaf person. But in fact, which is a significant enough percentage, just those two groups, that it can affect your, you know, bottom line if they can't. It's a big enough chunk of the population that you can be affected financially if you're cutting these people off from your website because you didn't code it correctly or your developer didn't code it correctly for the technologies that they use to interact with your website, if they're hard of hearing or if they can't see very well or if they can't move very well. But there's actually an even bigger percentage of people who are temporarily disabled or challenged, and that could include just someone at the bus stop who's trying to read the bus schedule on a phone in the bright sunlight. If you around here in Los Angeles, there's almost no shade at the bus stop. Or a woman holding her baby and trying to, find the product information on the phone. Or a teenager who broke a wrist, or your grandparents as their eyesight fades. That's sort of temporarily, that's like a new disability for them. And that's a huge percentage. That can be 50% of the population is going to have a problem with your website. So there are there's an increasing focus on accessibility.
Well, and I know too, if I'm on the phone and I'm trying to do something and the mobile website like doesn't work and I'm trying to purchase something and like a button's missing or something, it's like, well, forget that. And I can see, but there's like no button there. And sometimes, with my old eyes, I can't see it. I'm trying to blow up and it doesn't. So I feel like there's so many little nuances when it comes to that. And you want to make sure, you're right, your website has those features, especially if you sell products or something. You don't want to miss out on revenue because someone can't read what you've written. Lorraine says now she's looking at having just a landing page instead of an actual website. I feel like that's almost like a whole nother conversation in itself, like, landing pages and versus website versus like those bio sites. So we might have to have another conversation about your 2 cents on that. So our time is just about up. If someone is interested in reaching out to you to ask questions or to get some help with their social media or their website, what is the best way to reach you?
You can contact me through the contact form at my website, zenwebhelp.com.
Okay. I'm putting that in the chat box, so anybody who's viewing, you can see it there. Please do reach out to Marjorie, ask your questions, get some support with this because technology can be super frustrating and you want a person with that intuition, that spidey sense, helping you fix all of your frustration. So thanks so much, Marjorie, for joining us today.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, everybody.
Have a great rest of your day, everybody.